coming up on Inside City Hall tonight.
New York State is paying the full cost to launch TrueCare for the first time.
Governor Hochul and Mayor Mamdani outlined the first phase of a plan to make childcare universal statewide, with the state picking up the program's tab for the first 2 years in New York City.
And we want justice, so these things don't happen again.
We'll bring you part 2 of New York One's exclusive investigation into how the NYPD has embraced tasers. And we'll tell you more about one taser-related death that the NYPD never disclosed. Later tonight, I'll be joined in studio by State Assemblywoman Claire Valdez, who has kicked off her campaign for Congress in a district that spans parts of Brooklyn and Queens. And we'll also highlight Muslim American Heritage Month with longtime advocate Debri Almontasser. For the best news, debate, and analysis of New York politics, join us inside City Hall. Good evening. Welcome to Inside City Hall for Thursday, January 8th, 2026. I'm Errol Lewis. Presenting a united front today, Governor Hochul and Mayor Mamdani said they have cut a deal to expand universal child care statewide and will seek legislative approval for a multi-billion-dollar plan. But for starters, the Democratic leaders are focusing on 2-year-olds here in the 5 boroughs. Our State House reporter Bernadette Hogan joins me now with tonight's top story. Good evening.
Good evening, Errol. And the governor and the mayor providing an early look, at the governor's upcoming State of the State address set to be unveiled next week in Albany.
I told him this. Whatever the city was ready to deliver, I would be his partner 100% of the way.
Giving Mayor Mamdani an early victory on one marquee promise, Governor Kathy Hochul proposed picking up New York City's child care bill for some 2-year-olds.
New York State is paying the full cost to launch TrueCare for the first time. Universal daycare for 2-year-olds as proposed by Mayor Mamdani.
After listening to working parents' stress over childcare costs, in some cases amounting to over tens of thousands of dollars, Mamdani made his free childcare proposal a campaign centerpiece, promising to fully fund care for kids 6 weeks to 5 years old.
We will build on the city's existing 3K program and say no longer will a family in Flatbush be offered a seat but have to find out that that seat is in Astoria. We will add seats in the neighborhoods where demand has not been met.
Although Hochul's deal shaves down Mamdani's plan, should the legislature agree, the city will get $73 million for 2,000 city 2-year-olds in 1 year, growing to 12,000 seats in year 2 and costing $425 million. Another $103 million would add seats to the city's current 3K program. Mamdani explained the new TrueCare program.
This will be felt by expanded subsidies for tens of thousands of additional families.
New York's total child care price tag could increase to $4.5 billion in the upcoming state budget, including $1.7 billion in new money. Hochul's pledge would cover 100,000 kids under the age of 5, grow universal 3K statewide, add another $66 million for child care pilot programs in upstate counties, and create a new Office of Child Care and Early Education.
We have managed our finances quite well. We have been smart about setting aside money to be able to fund some of my ambitious plans.
But Hochul sidestepped a question if the state will cover the costs after the second year, and whether new taxes are on the table, a priority for Mamdani.
I will tell you it's rather extraordinary for a governor to commit even the next year based on the uncertainty that is being unleashed in normal life, but also with the Trump administrations.
Hochul's 2026 opponent, Republican Bruce Blakeman, slammed the plan. He said, quote, if universal child care is truly a priority for this administration, then it should be implemented fairly and statewide. He continued, quote, anything less is an insult to hardworking taxpayers outside New York City. Hochul also would not say if she backed Mamdani's ask for free MTA buses.
Ask us next week.
But in a later interview, Hochul said she would not include that funding in her budget package. State budget hawks are also planning to backfill child care subsidy costs so far slashed by the Federal Department of Health and Human Services.
Now, all these plans sound nice, but of course, Errol, the state legislature still needs to sign off on this when it comes to the state budget, which should be closed by April. Lately, it's been closed by May.
So it's something that the governor will be putting forward.
Yes.
Did I hear this right, that they want to create a new agency that would just deal with early education?
Yes, a new office that would report directly to the governor's office. One of the questions was, would it fall underneath the state education department? But because it's a priority for the governor, that office, when it's set up, will report directly to her.
Okay, thanks very much, Bernadette. Also tonight, a day after an ICE agent fatally shot a woman in Minneapolis, the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, was here in Manhattan discussing a criminal immigration action. She defended the ICE officer in that Minnesota incident, which has received international attention. Our Dan Rivley joins me now with some details. Good evening, Dan.
And good evening, Errol. So, of course, those were questions from reporters about that shooting and what that could mean for here in New York and any kind of surge in immigration enforcement. Noem said that Mayor Mamdani and President Trump had a productive conversation in that Oval Office meeting, but she hasn't seen the same kind of cooperation between Department of Homeland Security and the mayor's office and the NYPD, and she wants to change that and using the arrest of 54 people associated with the gang to highlight that.
You know, we're hoping the mayor will work with us to get these criminal elements and especially gang members and terrorist organizations out of New York City.
A day after an ICE agent fatally shot a woman officials say had been tracking immigration officers in Minneapolis, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was in New York, announcing the arrest of 54 people belonging to or associates of the Dominican gang, the Trinitarios. When asked how to prevent the fatal shooting in Minneapolis from happening in New York, she cited more cooperation with local officials.
Many times your policies and the rhetoric coming out of elected officials has divided people.
The investigation into the Trinitarios, Operation Salvo, was launched after two men from the Dominican Republic, here without authorization, allegedly tried to rob an off-duty Customs and Border Protection agent. One shot the agent in the face and arm. The agent survived. The suspected shooter, Miguel Mora, and the moped driver, Christian Abar, face federal and state charges.
We used our mapping techniques, looking at individuals with criminal records, arrest warrants, removal orders, and again, picking them off one by one.
Taking questions from reporters, Noem defended the ICE agent in Minneapolis who fatally shot 37-year-old Renee Good while she was operating a car. Noem had called Good's actions domestic terrorism.
This vehicle was used to hit this officer. It was used as a weapon, and the officer feels as though his life was in jeopardy.
Protesters demonstrated in the streets outside of One World Trade Center where the news conference was held. Democratic officials in New York broadly condemned the shooting.
The news coming out of Minneapolis is horrific.
Mayor Mamdani on social media said Good had been murdered. On Wednesday, he reaffirmed support for sanctuary laws.
I have made it clear to everyone within my city government, and that extends to NYPD, that we are going to uphold our sanctuary city policies.
A Homeland Security official said that the men involved in the CBP agent's shooting were in NYPD custody multiple times.
The tragic shooting of this heroic CBP officer was entirely preventable.
Reporters asked Noem if the kind of immigration enforcement surge that Minneapolis seen is coming to the city, but she didn't answer directly, saying she didn't want to telegraph any future operations, Errol.
So, Dan, was this a matter of taking down an entire organization, or were they just going after the two people involved in the shooting of that officer?
It started with the two people, and as you heard that Homeland Security officials say, they started looking at their associates, even going down to phone contacts, and then going through some of those removal orders, any kind of criminal history, and they were able to come up with 54 people that they arrested, and about 30 of them have already been deported. We tried to get an exact number of how many had either criminal records or pending charges, but we didn't get that answer. Noem said, though, a vast majority of them did have that.
Okay, thanks very much, Dan. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we'll bring you part 2 of Courtney's investigative series into the NYPD's use of tasers. Stay with us.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Tomorrow, some morning sunshine possible. Clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One. Weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum and Xfinity customers.
Spectrum TV, isn't that only live TV?
No, it's only all my favorite streaming apps with live TV.
Okay.
It's only all included at no extra cost. And that's the magic of math. Will this be on the test? Sure. Why not?
It's only one simple payment for all our TV. We gotta simplify and win. Winning is equally important.
If not, more so.
Yeah!
Only Spectrum TV, fixed TV.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning. You've done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. We turn now to part 2 of an exclusive New York One investigation. A decade ago, tasers were used far less frequently by the NYPD than they are today, often because of tragedies and controversies involving the weapon. Now, using tasers at a record high rate, the department, it turns out, has failed to disclose at least one taser-related death, New York One has learned. Our Courtney Gross joins me now with the second installment of her investigative series, Shocked, How the NYPD Embraces Tasers. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Earl. You're right. It was years the NYPD was really reluctant to embrace tasers on a department-wide scale. Of course, that was until about a decade ago. And since then, at least 3 people have died, including a young Queens man who was having a schizophrenic episode and was then tased in front of his home in 2024.
He used to love number 9, and the color blue was his favorite. Yeah. And he's an angel, because he has wings.
She lost him on a rainy night in front of their home.
I'm not the same anymore. Let me see.
Adrian Ceballos had schizophrenia, and his mother, Monica Astudillo, had called 911 for help before.
It was like once a year, I will say, once a year.
On August 3rd, 2024, she called 911 to get him taken to a hospital for psychiatric care, and things went horribly wrong.
It was 2 feet away from me. I was just trying to control the situation, screaming at the cops, saying, don't tase him, because he's schizophrenic.
Astudillo says in the midst of a schizophrenic episode, her son was shot with a taser twice in front of their home. In security camera footage given to New York One by the family, you can briefly see Ceballos run from officers to abruptly collapse. Cell phone video shows him pinned down a short time later in the middle of the rainy street.
They tased him, and he just fell down in the middle of the street, and he started getting convulsions and starting to have a heart attack. And then he died in the back of the ambulance like a few minutes later. The ambulance took 45 minutes to arrive.
Ceballos, she says, had an undiagnosed heart condition. The medical examiner found Ceballos died from cardiac dysrhythmia, and the taser was a contributing factor in his death. It's a death the NYPD had not publicly disclosed until now, nor has the NYPD released body camera footage.
This is what the whole family.
The Ceballos family is suing the city.
I think he wants justice too, and we want justice, so these things don't happen again.
In a statement to New York One, the NYPD disputes the Ceballos family account of the incident, saying Ceballos had attempted to strike an officer and resisted restraint, so he was then shot with a taser. A spokesman said 2 prongs hit Ceballos' torso, but Ceballos removed one of them. The statement continues. This resulted in 2 subsequent attempts to create a successful electrical circuit ineffective. The NYPD says Ceballos was transferred to the hospital conscious and alert, and then suffered a medical episode and died. The spokesman said the department did not disclose the incident before now because it was initially not seen as a death in custody. To the Ceballos family, it's another example of how taser use at the NYPD went wrong, capping off a complicated history the department has with the weapon.
Taser, taser, taser. We need to really look at the other side as well. How many other instances where it was actually effective? A lot of times, unfortunately, we often hear about the ones that did not work. There are instances where usage of it has been proven quite effective. But of course, we don't really hear about those instances as much.
For years, the NYPD had been reluctant to adopt the use of tasers more widely, following scandals and tragedy going back to the 1980s.
Can't tell you how outraged I am at this occurrence.
Cops were accused and later convicted of using stun guns to torture suspects in a Queens precinct. A young commander, Ray Kelly, sent in to clean it up, would later go on to lead the department. He looked at tasers skeptically.
There's a belief that they've been abused. There is a belief in some quarters that it causes death. So what we have done is use them in a more closely supervised fashion, having supervisors that use them.
After the shooting death of Sean Bell in 2006,
our hearts go out to all the family members and the loved ones who are...
A NYPD-requested study by the RAND Corporation recommended the department expand its taser training and usage.
Case of a man who fell from an awning during a confrontation with officers.
Months later, a man was shot with a taser on the ledge of a building and died. The lieutenant who ordered the taser be used then killed himself. So it wasn't until years later, with new leadership at one police plaza,
the mayor and I have had several discussions about tasers, a significant expansion of the numbers of them.
And another tragedy highlighting police brutality. The department changed course.
Commissioner, I think I said this.
Former police commissioner Bill Bratton.
Why do you think the NYPD, before you came on, do you think that they were behind the times by not adopting them?
From my own perspective, I certainly think so. By 2014, they were in wide use around the country. They had not a perfect device that, time and again, you see an instance where the officer attempts to use it and it doesn't work, and then they end up resorting to the firearm. But time and again, you often see when it does.
Tasers, no longer would tasers be reserved for supervisors or specialized units. The whole department would be trained. And now the NYPD aims for every patrol unit to have one on every shift. New York One obtained dozens of reports detailing how much Axon, Taser's parent company, has spent on lobbying city government and the NYPD to purchase tasers over the last decade. That price tag, over $711,000.
So this taser...
During this time period, its CEO and founder was promising results across the country.
Whereas our regular tasers are about 80 to 95% effective in the field, this one was about...
The NYPD has never hit that target.
Aim.
According to the latest data available from 2024, tasers are about 61% effective when used by the NYPD. Axon has not responded to repeated requests for comment and repeated requests for an interview with New York One.
Find me another weapon in the police arsenal or any weapon in the world that has been tested anywhere near as much as taser, because you won't find one. And you know what these tests have found? everything we surmised from the get-go, that these are safe and effective, that they can cause injury or death under very rare circumstances.
Its CEO and founder, Rick Smith, has become one of the biggest names in technology and policing. Axon now takes in billions of dollars in revenue from tasers, body cameras, and other tech. The contract with New York City ballooning at the same time as the NYPD bought more and more tasers. In 2013, it was around $250,000. In 2016, the contract was $4.5 million. And finally, the last contract, signed in 2023, was nearly $55 million. All the while, the number of incidents where a taser is deployed tripled, far outpacing other large departments. In 2023, there were 7 times the number of discharge incidents by the NYPD compared to the Los Angeles Police Department, and 13 times that of the Chicago Police Department.
They are not perfect, like any technology, but anytime the taser is used and used effectively, it might preclude the use of a firearm.
But not always. From April 2021 through August 2025, in at least a dozen instances, a taser was used on someone who was still ultimately shot by the NYPD and killed, according to the state attorney general's office. In 4 of those cases, the taser failed to work or subdue the subject. The others are still under investigation, adding to a mixed record at the NYPD.
The one in the corner.
And it's a record the Ceballos family is hoping will change. What does justice look like for you?
Justice is, first of all, getting rid of that taste and not use it randomly like that. I mean, like, they have to have some kind of training to use those tasers. That's a New Year's right here. Nobody's gonna bring my boy back again. Nothing is gonna, but at least I'm giving a message to people so this doesn't happen again, because the loss of a child is horrible. For a mom, it's horrible.
And members of the NYPD do receive annual training on the taser, but some experts and stakeholders say that clearly they should be trained much more frequently. Errol.
Great reporting, Courtney. A couple of things I wanted to ask you about. One is, in the case of the Ceballos family, it just seems like a straightforward cover-up, to tell you the truth. I mean, they're saying, despite the facts that you've laid out, they're not really disputing most of it, but they're saying it had nothing to do with us, and therefore we didn't report it as a death in custody.
And clearly the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner disagrees. They said clearly in their decision on how exactly Mr. Ceballos died is that they called it a homicide, and they said that the taser was a contributing factor in this. Now, when there is a death like this, the Attorney General is notified. I mean, clearly the press was not notified in this case, or the public was not notified in this case, but the Attorney General was notified, and there is a preliminary assessment into the case to see if it warrants further investigation by the Attorney General's office.
The other thing, and I believe this is a nationwide phenomenon as well, is that it's not like there are a lot of peer-reviewed scientific studies, right? There's a company with a profit motive that's trying to sell a product that's hiring a lot of lobbyists in order to go out and push the idea of using it. But, you know, again, the percentages, when they're kind of saying, oh, 80 to 90% effective, which is absolutely not true, there's no sort of third party to step back and sort of try and sort out from a scientific standpoint what works and what doesn't work.
There has been a lot of studies going back to 2008 by the Department of Justice, and there's been a lot of reporting, not something that we necessarily delved into, but there's been a lot of reporting on whether those studies have some sort of connection to Axon Enterprise. In certain instances, they don't. And for instance, a Department of Justice study back in 2008 said that it was safe and effective and departments should adopt the technology. Since then, there have been other studies that have been done by members of a medical board that Axon had set up, and we haven't delved into that necessarily during our reporting, but plenty of other news outlets have examined that phenomenon.
Okay. Thanks very much, Courtney. We're going to bring you part 3 of Courtney's series tomorrow night right here on Inside City Hall, and you can watch the full series at ny1.com or on the Spectrum News app. It is time now for a break. Coming up, the U.S. Senate advanced a resolution seeking to rein in President Trump's military action against Venezuela. We'll bring you those details in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
closing doors, please.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of going to the theater. Onstage celebrates that excitement every week by taking you behind the scenes with the latest news and in-depth interviews of the hottest shows on and off Broadway. So grab a seat, because this is a show you won't want to miss. Join us every Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 p.m. for Onstage.
Onstage is presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers. Discover which Cadillac is right for you and elevate your journey.
It's only a hike. It's only made possible by Spectrum Business connecting healthcare providers of all sizes. Like hospitals relying on the Spectrum Fiber broadband network with industry-leading reliability. Practices keeping patient data safe with advanced security. Pharmacies accessing records in the cloud without fail. It's tailored connectivity solutions built for life-changing moments. It's only a hike. It's only everything. Spectrum Business.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time. And she'd buy the same gifts over and over. Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard. At first, we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan. Early detection gave us time to adapt together. It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
From my time growing up in Queens watching New York One to my time reporting here, I've seen how quickly a story can change. At News All Day, we bring you the news as it's happening, from around the boroughs to local government to your neighborhood, because our city never stops moving.
Hi, I'm Shannon Ferry with the day's developing stories. But first,
stay up to date and informed with News All Day, weekdays from noon to 4.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. 5 Senate Republicans have joined with Democrats to try and curb President Donald Trump's ability to take additional military action in Venezuela without congressional approval. The Senate's top Democrat, New York's Chuck Schumer, called it an attempt to prevent endless wars. But as our Washington, D.C. bureau reporter Shannon Ryan explains, the measure faces an uphill battle to become law.
An unusual bipartisan rebuke of President Donald Trump. The Senate voted 52 to 47 Thursday to advance a measure that would require Trump seek congressional authorization for additional military operations in Venezuela, after the U.S. military launched a complex raid inside the country this weekend, capturing President Nicolas Maduro.
In the Senate, we Democrats are fighting to prevent military adventurism in Venezuela and other countries, and endless wars.
I watched where Schumer, he's such a bad guy. I mean, I've known the guy for a long time, and he's such a bad guy. You know, at some point they should say, you know, you did a great job. Thank you. Congratulations. Wouldn't it be good?
In a social media post, President Trump lambasted the 5 Republican senators whose support helped to advance the measure. He wrote that they should never be elected to office again. The vote happened one day after the president told the New York Times U.S. involvement in Venezuela could last years.
That is not what Americans want.
The Trump administration did not consult with Congress ahead of Saturday's attack on Venezuela, drawing the ire of many lawmakers.
I think the only people getting the true story are the oil executives, the big oil execs who were briefed, as you heard, before Congress.
The measure faces additional votes in the Senate and House. Hudson Valley Congressman Pat Ryan, a retired Army intelligence officer, joined other Democrats at a press conference to support it.
We have already spent trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, hundreds of thousands of Iraqi and Afghan lives on not one, but 2 misguided forever wars about oil, largely, especially in Iraq. And we need to heed those lessons.
And many view these votes as largely symbolic. Even if the bill clears the House, President Trump will likely veto it, and there does not appear to be enough support to override his veto. Vice President J.D. Vance has said he's, quote, not concerned at all about the matter. In Washington, Shannon Ryan, New York 1.
It is time now for a break. Coming up, I'll be joined by State Assembly member Claire Valdez, who launched her campaign for Congress today. Stay with us.
My time at New York 1 has shown me that in the city that never sleeps, the news never stops. So as the day winds down, turn to the rush hour. Good
afternoon, I'm Monica Burke.
To catch up on the stories that matter across the 5 boroughs, with in-depth interviews from the city's newsmakers, plus the latest forecast. Catching you up with today, preparing you for tomorrow. Right here on the Rush Hour. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
It's only a slice. It's only made possible by Spectrum, connecting businesses of all sizes, like small businesses, instantly serving up orders and inventory on the Spectrum Fiber broadband network. And factories, seamlessly connecting the farmers in the field with tailored solutions that always deliver. It's only a slice. It's only everything. Get your business free fiber-powered internet forever. Call to find out how.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
At Spectrum Noticias, we recognize that our New York City community is vibrant and diverse.
Spectrum Noticias delivers balanced coverage of the stories that matter in our communities and across the country.
Our journalists are based in the neighborhoods we cover, ensuring you get in-depth reporting on what's happening in the places we call home.
So join us at Spectrum Noticias. We're always on, always there for you.
Now available on your TV. Check your local listings. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall, where we are looking ahead to the primary elections in June. The open seat race to replace retiring Representative Nydia Velázquez is taking shape. New York's 7th Congressional District stretches from Queens to Brooklyn. It covers all or part of Long Island City and Bushwick. Last month, I spoke with Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso to explain why he is running for that seat, and another candidate threw her hat into the ring just today.
The housing crisis, the healthcare crisis, the crisis of workers' rights. It isn't a personal failure by any individual. It's the success of a system designed to extract from working people while protecting the wealth and power of the billionaire class.
That's Assembly member Claire Valdez. She's one of Mayor Mamdani's earliest supporters and the only elected official present in Mayor Mamdani's campaign launch event way back in October of 2024. Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why run for this office? You are relatively new to the Assembly.
It is true, but you know, I'm running for this office for the same reason I ran for this New York State Assembly last year, because my union changed my life. I'm a former member of UAW Local 2110, and at a moment when union popularity in the United States is at an all-time high, we need a federal government that will support it, will support workers' rights to organize, that will go after corporate and concentrated power and fight for real social democracy in the United States. And that's exactly why I'm running for Congress.
Okay, and as a member of Congress, how would you advance those goals?
So there's obviously legislative solutions to some of these things. The PRO Act is beyond needed. We can support union drives more directly, standing arm in arm with workers who are striving to organize their workplaces, a federal jobs guarantee, delivering on a Green New Deal to create new infrastructure. Those are many thousands of union jobs. Building a thriving labor movement is really going to be the key to defending our democracy and making it even stronger.
Explain what you mean by a jobs guarantee from the federal government.
Yeah, so I mean, we can look at the New Deal era where infrastructure was being built all over this country. and workers had many more options for the work that they could be doing. There's plenty of work in the United States that needs to be done. And right now, it's not being done by the workers who need to be doing it. And so I think we can look at developing that as a platform and for the United States.
As an active member of the Democratic Socialists of America, and I saw that you say that in your ad, you know, you're with it. It's not something you're running away from or stepping away from. When Mayor Mamdani ran, he said, look, if it's not on my website, all of the whole national agenda of the DSA is not part of what I'm doing. You're in a slightly different position because you're running for an office that will have a lot of national and even international impact, potentially. Which parts of the DSA program should we be thinking about when we think about you as a candidate?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a member of New York City Democratic Socialists of America since 2019. I've been a leader in the chapter. I've helped run many different campaigns as part of the organization. I'm a proud democratic socialist, and for me, that means expanding democracy far beyond the voting booth into our apartment buildings, into our workplaces. And when we think about what that program should look like, it should be a program for working class people, about building real affordability in a city that is profoundly unaffordable for most workers. Guaranteeing housing and healthcare as a human right, making unions available to anyone, every single worker, and again, building democracy all over the United States, and advancing peace abroad too, ending forever wars, ending the ongoing genocide in Gaza, and fighting for self-determination in colonies like Puerto Rico.
Okay, the race could attract some more candidates, but as I mentioned, we've got the Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso. He's also running. He's also vying for an endorsement from the DSA. I don't know if that's going to happen, and we'll find out about that. What specifically do you think separates you from him?
You know, I think this is going to be hashed out in the next, weeks and months. I'll say that I come into this race with experience as a labor organizer again, and I'm very proud that my own union, UAW Region 9A, has endorsed in this race. It's my first endorsement, the one I'm most proud of. So coming in with the experience of a labor organizer who knows those struggles very well, someone who has a very consistent record with and has moral clarity about, foreign affairs, and someone who really comes from this movement that just helped elect our mayor, Zohran Mamdani.
Okay. If elected, what committees would you want to serve on and why?
It's something I'm still thinking about. Like I said, worker power is incredibly important to me, so places where we can advance things like the PRO Act, jobs guarantee, organizing with workers, standing shoulder to shoulder with people who are organizing their workplaces. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Tell me about some non-labor issues in the district that you would want to focus on, whether it involves housing, transportation, schools in the district, or anything else.
Yeah, housing is, I think, going to be one of the most important parts of this campaign. The district is about 77% renters, and they deserve stability and dignity in their housing. And so fighting for the Housing Act that is championed by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, fighting to fully fund NYCHA and build more public housing too, and support tenants so that they have stable, secure housing long-term that's permanently affordable. I think we also have to talk about, this district is kind of cut through by the Newtown Creek, which has been the site of many different environmental disasters over generations. And so a Green New Deal, climate resiliency, and fighting to make sure that those neighbors can stay in their homes safely in a clean environment.
A lot of candidates have talked about Trump-proofing New York or pushing back against policies of the administration that they don't like. Where would you fall in that spectrum?
We have to push back against the Trump administration. This race really is, it's not about, this is a deep blue seat. Fighting the campaign in this seat is going to be about what the direction of the Democratic Party looks like. If we're going to be defending a status quo, or if we're going to be taking on fascism and billionaire power and corporate power. And the Trump administration is a clear and obvious threat to New York City and New York State and the entire country. And we have to push back against him. In the state legislature, we've been fighting for things like New York for All, to protect our immigrant neighbors, to tax the wealthiest among us so that we can actually build up public programs and social safety net. And those are all part of Trump-proofing New York State, but we have to continue that fight at the federal level too.
Okay, before I let you go, this is sort of like almost like a lightning round question. You've worked at Taco Bell, you've worked at Trader Joe's, you've worked at Pizza Hut. Which was your favorite place to work at?
Oh man. So probably Taco Bell, because you really get to see how the sausage is made, and it's fascinating.
You get a meal out of it,
place.
too. Okay, best of luck. We'll see you out on the campaign trail.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll hear from the family of a man who was fatally shot by police in 2024 after the state attorney general declined to seek charges against the 2 officers involved. Stay with us.
After 30 years of forecasting for New York, I've learned it takes a dedicated team to cover all the weather our city has to offer. As chief meteorologist at New York One, I'm honored to be able to help New Yorkers plan their day.
Morning, noon, or night, our team is here to bring you accurate forecasts you can count on, from severe weather updates to our weather on the ones. Watch the New York One weather experts with your weather on the ones on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything. Movies, series, sports, reality, news.
Here's a look at today's top stories.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
And even more of your favorites with live TV. Stream across your devices and enjoy anywhere.
See you later.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
My father was a New York City firefighter. My mission, like his, is to serve New Yorkers in a city that doesn't stop when the sun goes down. Being with New York One since the beginning, I'm now honored to join you even earlier each weeknight. Starting at 8 with New York Tonight, we'll explore the latest news developments, followed by New York One at 10 to wrap up your day. So join me each weeknight starting at 8 right here on New York One.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. State Attorney General Letitia James will not pursue charges against the police officers involved in the 2024 fatal shooting of a Brooklyn man. Investigators say that Christian Emile was armed with a gun and ran away from police. His family insists that Emile was trying to get away from the officers but not hurt them. Our Ayanna Harry takes a closer look at the report and reaction from Emile's mother.
My son is shot in the back 6 times.
The final chaotic moments of Christian Emile's life captured on police body cam video. It was May 12, 2024, Church Avenue in East Flatbush. Emile was shot 6 times by NYPD officers, including in the back and in the head. The shooting unfolded as Emile ran from officers telling him to stop. Police say a loaded 9mm gun was found on the ground where Emile fell. After a more than year-long review, the state attorney general's office just announced their investigators will not seek charges against the 2 officers who fired their weapons.
I was expecting to at least have one of the officers prosecuted.
For Tarnisha Woolard, the decision to not pursue charges was deeply disappointing. For more than a year, she's led protests over her son's death.
It's just hard to take into existence that this is what we're going through right now.
According to the AG report, 2 officers and a sergeant were on a routine patrol when they spotted several men arguing, and officers moved to arrest Emile when they saw he had a gun. The report noting officers could use deadly force if they reasonably believed it was necessary to defend themselves or another against Mr. Emile's imminent use of deadly force. But Emil family attorney M.K. Kashian believes
there was no attempt at de-escalation or less lethal uses of force. Even though a taser was deployed in this case, it was deployed simultaneous to the actual shooting.
Emil's mother now plans to sue New York City, claiming civil rights violations in the death of her son, a son she lost in the early morning hours of Mother's Day.
He was the person that he's going to walk in a room, he's going to smile, and he's going to light up that whole room.
In Brooklyn, Ayana Harry, New York 1.
It is time now for a break. Coming up, longtime community leader Debbie Almontasser will join me to talk about Governor Hochul's designation of January as Muslim American Heritage Month, as the city's first Muslim mayor wraps up his first week at City Hall. Stay with us.
We have so many ways to stay connected. A single touch can bring us closer to the families we love, the friends we know, and the city we share. And Spectrum helps us keep connected throughout the day, every day. Including more ways to watch New York One as a Spectrum Internet customer. Watch Spectrum News New York One on the Spectrum News app, available on all your favorite devices.
There's an international travel plan with Spectrum that was an additional $10 a month, as opposed to paying a ridiculous amount per day for roaming fees. This literally felt like my old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, that's been the case. So it saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day, with in-depth coverage of the day's news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Tomorrow, some morning sunshine possible. Clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One. Weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum and Xfinity customers.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Governor Kathy Hochul recently proclaimed January to be Muslim American Heritage Month. She ordered landmarks here in the city and across the state lit up green to mark the occasion. It is the first time that New York State has ever made such a designation. And this comes as New York City's first ever Muslim mayor, Zohran Mamdani, begins his term at City Hall. Joining me now to talk about all of this and more is Debbie Almontasser. She is the CEO and founder of the Bridging Cultures Group, a consulting service that specializes in academic support and cultural proficiency. She's also a senior advisor to Engage USA, a Muslim American advocacy and voter mobilization group. Welcome back to the program. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you for having me.
I imagine members of your community are floating on air now that the inauguration makes it official and we have the first ever Muslim mayor of New York City.
Absolutely. With the opportunity to have Muslim American Heritage Month inaugurated in January and the day after the swearing of the first mayor of the city of New York is incredibly amazing.
Is this a first nationally, or is New York joining other states in this recognition of the month?
New York is actually joining other states. The first state that I'm well aware of is New Jersey, and that was the model that we at Engage used for Governor Hochul. So when Governor Hochul was running for governor, we provided her a questionnaire for endorsement. So Engage Action and its PAC actually provided her the questionnaire, and she completed it. And one of the very questions was, would you consider inaugurating Muslim Heritage Month. And here we go, 3 years later.
Promise made, promise kept.
Absolutely.
Does the month of January have a particular cultural or religious significance?
No significance whatsoever, but being that every month we literally have something going on, some ethnic or racial group is being celebrated, so we figured let's just do January because nobody claimed January.
Well, I'll tell you, the start of the legislative session is a great time to be rubbing elbows with the governor. So your timing couldn't be better from that standpoint. Let's talk about the hidden curriculum. This is something that the last chancellor, I think, David Banks, was the one who really sort of put it in place. And these are modules of teaching history of what I personally think of as the different tribes of New York. So one on Jewish Americans, one on Native Americans, one on a lot of different groups, and it includes Muslim Americans. So there's a special focus on it, but it's a discrete unit that counts and helps kids learn history, social studies, and other required topics. You helped develop it. What was that like?
Sure. So I had the extraordinary opportunity to be one of the academics who actually contributed. I was also one of the readers. And this work was done under my Bridging Cultures group, hijab. I won't use hat, but hijab, where I actually had this opportunity. And just a little bit about the Hidden Voices curriculum. This was something that has been created several years back, specifically starting with the LGBTQIA community, where they actually started the curriculum. So every year, they actually added a different group or community. And so given what New Yorkers have experienced in the last 2 years with what was happening in Gaza and Israel, the need to make sure to uplift and amplify Muslims and Jews in New York City and their contributions, David Banks basically said, we need to do this. And so it was a labor of love for me and other leaders and academics. The lead scholar on this was Edward Curtis from Indiana University, and there were 7 other academics who actually contributed. So,
and you have such a sort of a rich backdrop to paint on in New York, so to speak. Meaning, there's a lot of history that was made here, but it is, as the title of the project suggests, hidden. That these are just things that didn't either didn't make it into the mainstream curriculum or just not part of people's general understanding.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing that it does, Errol, is it demystifies Islam and Muslims in American history. What we see a lot happening in social media, in the media itself, is that Islam is portrayed as an immigrant religion. But in fact, Muslims have been here from the very inception of this country, dating back to 1492, 1493. And one of the very first people that was actually recognized within this curriculum is Estevinco, who was a North African who was brought on a ship as an enslaved person, but created an incredible opportunity to actually be recognized in history. And so there is a segment about him and a whole host of other people. And what I want to also add is this is just volume 1. So we're hoping that volume 2 will actually cover the rest of American Muslim history up to modern day, where we will include Mayor Mamdani.
Well, indeed. Of course, right, one of the big lessons in all of this is to teach people that, like, you're making history every day, right? You're part of this. This isn't just like some book on a shelf. In trying to sort of put all of this together, what grade are you aiming it at? Is this for 5th graders? Is this 12th graders? Where does it fit in?
This actually fits in all grade levels. And what's beautiful about the Hidden Voices curriculum is that it is supplemental materials that educators, whether you teach in elementary, middle school, or high school, can actually pull and incorporate into the history lessons that you're teaching. So it's a great, great tool for educators where they don't have to go looking on the internet, which we know that a lot of times what you find on the internet is not always credible and factual. So the fact that we have academic scholars who put this together really makes me and others who, have had the opportunity to teach know that it's coming from reliable sources.
And you know a lot more about the system than most of us. Is it at the discretion of the principal, the teacher, the district? Who makes the decision to use these supplemental materials if that's what they want to?
So it's been made on a central level. These materials are, available. And in fact, what the former chancellor did was actually invite schools to actually utilize both of these curriculums as pilots. So about 22 schools signed up to actually use them. And considering the rise in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, I'm really happy to see that a lot of schools decided to sign up to incorporate them in their teaching.
Yeah, that I think is one of the things that we're going to see over the next few years, is that it's great that you're starting with the kids, but there are a lot of adults who don't know really the basics, who don't really understand that Islam is an Abrahamic religion, that it's, sort of a sibling religion that comes out of the same, that has a lot of the same stories, a lot of the same prophets, a lot of the same of look and feel as religions that we know more about. And I know that's not what a secular education is supposed to be providing, but it really could come in handy these days.
Oh, 100%. And what's great about the Hidden Voices curriculum, it's actually available to the public. So all you have to do is go on the school website, the New York City Public School website, and pull all of them. And they're really enjoyable readings.
Yes, it really is, because a lot of it happened around New York, right? So you walk around and you're like, oh, that happened right here on William Street or on Water Street or in Brooklyn. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Congratulations, and look forward to talking again real soon.
Absolutely. Happy New Year.
Same to you. That is going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning. You done with the sports section?
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Your entertainment the way you want it. With Spectrum TV, all these streaming apps are included at no extra cost. So you can watch anything.
Hey, brother. Be careful.
Movies.
I've got this condition where I don't feel pain.
You're a superhero.
No. Series.
There was another murder in the building.
Sports. Reality.
Here's to a summer you'll never forget.
News.
Here's a look at today's top story.
Exclusive originals.
We await your orders.
Even more of your favorites with live TV.
Welcome into First Take.
Stream across your devices and watch anywhere. At home or out and about. It's the entertainment experience you've been waiting for. Streaming apps included at no extra cost.
Just got that pelt. Get a good look.
With live TV and on demand. All together, all in one place for you to enjoy.
It's whatever kind of adventure we want it to be.
Get it all with Spectrum TV.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of going to the theater. Onstage celebrates that excitement every week by taking you behind the scenes with the latest news and in-depth interviews of the hottest shows on and off Broadway. So grab a seat, because this is a show you won't want to miss. Join us every Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 p.m. for Onstage.
Onstage is presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers. Discover which Cadillac is right for you.